excited to be here. I can't believe that we made it. I cannot believe that we made it, but made it we have. And there is so much to talk about, so much to discuss. I'm ready and cozy in our new setup. It's been 2 months since we've done the thing, and a lot has happened. We have packed and traveled and trekked up the mountain, and yeah, we skipped several moon days together. I guess 2 months, that would mean 8. We skipped pretty much all of eclipse season. So how was that for you? Because I feel like honestly, with packing and the planning and the moving and all of the moving parts that Mr. Moore did most of, and all of the actual physically moving that Mr. Moore and his family helped with, it was chaotic. It was so chaotic, but we did it. And so here we are in the mountains, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's so beautiful, and we're very blessed and happy and excited to be here. It's a whole new world, and if you have been here a while, then you know that I am from Puerto Rico. So to be in the mountains, to be in the country, it just feels so much like home, even though I know Puerto Rico is an island and you cannot compare it to this amazing body of mountains, right? The Blue Ridge and the Appalachian Mountains. And speaking of Appalachia, there's just so much going on in the wake of Helene. I guess that's what we call it, the Hurricane Helene. I feel like this is the first time that I've said it out loud, thinking of an audience. So excuse me if that's not the name of that hurricane that we just had last week, but there's just been chaos, a lot of chaos. And this week, I feel like the astrology is a bit softer and a bit hopeful, but we're going to talk about it. Let's begin, shall we? If you're new here, welcome. Good evening. My name is Graciela Moore. I am a certified personal coach. I love the moon and astrology. These are my personal interests that I like to combine with the knowledge or lore or psychology of emotional intelligence and coaching and helping each other navigating in community however best we can, the things that are happening for each other, and actively take part in creating and manifesting some of the things that we want to bring to life. A lot of us in this amazing group chat that we tend to have here. So you're welcome to check in the comments and say hello. We're creatives, we are creators, we are people who are actively creating something, even though you create every second of your life and every day, right? And every experience. Every decision is part of that creative process or creation process. But a lot of us are actively coming up with books or art or coaching programs or products or just ideas in general, strategies, new adventures, and we like to discuss all of it here. And why the moon? Well, the moon is or correlates to our emotions, and our emotional intelligence plays a huge part in the day to day flow of our life or lack thereof. And so, when we add the astrology, like where the moon is astrologically every single day because it shifts every 2 to 3 days from zodiac sign to zodiac sign, then it shifts the emotional landscape or emotional blueprint, if you want to call it that. I like the word blueprint for this type of context because the blueprint implies that we build upon it. So, welcome, Marianne. So happy that you're here. I can't believe that we finally made it. 2 whole months of pretty much little to no astrology, actually, because other than following the book as best as I could while it was in storage, and then when I got it, I am a full 8 weeks behind on next year's book, but it's getting done and it will get done, and I'm so excited. So, back to the moon, back to where it is every day, and how it just may change or kind of shift the emotional blueprint where we build upon every day. And so, this is why I like to check up on it and follow it and see how people, including myself and especially my child, tend to behave and how their emotions tend to come out when the moon is in each sign every day, I guess. And for example, today we have lots of examples, obviously. I have lots of examples that I can bring up in the last few weeks because we haven't spoken in a while. We haven't gathered in this live in a while. But the we have talked before about how I like a moon day that starts with a fire sign or just Sagittarius. And this is it. This is the Monday that starts with Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius is that go-getter. It's very goal oriented. So didn't even realize the moon was in Sagittarius because I didn't open the book until like 11 a.m. to do the thing for the book, but I was already I felt like that fire or that pep in my step that got me to clean and organize and put away several things. We are still unpacking, even though we've been here, I would say, a month now. And so we're still not fully unpacked, and there's still things that need to be done, handled, taken care of, and due diligencies that are still being, how can I say, being worked on logistically, if you will. And so today I felt that fire in my step or that pep in my step to organize and clean and do all these things. And I always know when the moon is on a fire sign like Sagittarius because I feel like I am going very fast and the time or the clock, it's kind of still going slow. So I looked at the clock and it was already 11, but I felt like I had already done so many things and it was only 11. And I would still not done with other things like my own breakfast or, the journaling that other times I prefer to do pretty much by 9 a.m. I'm already done. And so it's how do you navigate the day and how does your emotional wellness come into play in the decisions and in the things that come up for you or in the things that you're trying to actively create, manifest, and bring to life. So let's do this. As you know, or if you don't know, we are following Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace 2024 Manifestation Agenda slash Journal. In this book, you get to journal every moon day. What are you looking or working to create? What are you grateful for? What is your agenda for the day? You get a manifestation every moon day, and it goes with where the moon is. So today's manifestation goes hand in hand with that moon in Sagittarius that gave me that pep in my step earlier. And so I embrace the adventure. There's that go-getter, that Sagittarius of growth and discovery, aligning my inner aspirations with my outward actions to create meaningful progress. And progress is such, it, It's one of those words that has been toying with my emotions, I would say, for the past this whole year because of the way or of the pace that some things tend to manifest for some of us, or for me, or just in general, because nothing comes just overnight unless you pay a lot for it, right? But things take time, intentions and seeds and all this journaling and dreaming and then building, actually dreaming and then planning and then building, right? All of those things take time. None of it happens overnight. And so to think about where we were in January and how we were discussing, just in conversation, wanting to pack our family, wanting to move, but to where, but this, but that, and what about this, and what about that? And it was just conversations, right? And then months go along, and the conversations are just happening a little bit more often than not. And some actual dreaming is starting to happen because we're starting to research things and look into more details and investigating a little bit more closely where we could go, or how are we even going to achieve this, right? And so that was January, that was March, that was April, that was the beginning of summer. And fast forward, now we are in October, and we've been here for a month. We've been in this still very liminal space already, 4 weeks, already a full lunar cycle, if you will. And so things are definitely growing, and things are definitely being discovered, and the journey is clearly ongoing. But getting to the progress, or acknowledging how tiny progress can be day to day to day, and how it really is a drip to the point that a month later, progress is being made, but it is still not complete. It is still not finished, right? It's like, do not be fooled by my setup. Do not be fooled by the fact that, the journaling is done. The progress is needed, is, still in every corner. And talking about, and so that's my micro, right? Now bring it to the macro. Reconstruction needs to happen, and the progress is going to seem so small, and it will never be the same. And so, all in all, the affirmations are meant to be motivational and inspiring, because a lot of what is happening, think about today's date. And I was so grateful that Chani Nicholas brought this up in her podcast. And so it's interesting because Chani records today's podcast. I think she said she was recording it in August. So she doesn't specifically in the podcast bring the current events, right? But she does bring up that today, when she puts out her podcast, is October 7th, right? We're here live on Moon Magic Mindfulness with Grace. Thank you for tuning in. Um, she brings up that it's October 7th, and last year's on October 7th, we all kind of rallied together online to look at some, at the beginning, in quotations, because it's been going on for a while and we're not going to get into politics, and you all know I don't do that, but October 7th marks a big day, I feel like, for last year, if you remember, right? For Gaza, Palestine, and all of this watermelon talk, if you will. And so it's just interesting how it's been a year, and collectively I'm talking about how the slow progress is in our micro and in our home a month after making this move and still feeling like we're moving. And the macro, how the whole world and now the US, right, with the East Coast, with the hurricane season and all of that, how there's just a lot of slow progress happening and a lot of, I feel like, feelings of hopelessness and a lot of confusion or disheartening because of how chaotic this season has been. And all in all, to say, I'm grateful for you and I'm grateful that we have each other and I'm grateful that we have this conversation and I'm so grateful for all the resources. So, yeah, find people and ways to help and to do the best so that we can manifest, right? Let's go ahead and look at, well, I'm trying to log into our AstroSeek, so let's astroseek.com is where the moon, you can see all of the astrology, you can see where the moon is every day, and tomorrow, Tuesday, still in Sagittarius, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the moon this week is going to be in Capricorn Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I have my notes here. What's interesting about Capricorn this week is that one, Jupiter is going retrograde in Gemini. And so there's conversations, community, Gemini, friendships, relationships, Gemini. Gemini is an air sign ruled by Mercury, who is the one that rules our beliefs and how we translate those beliefs and how we communicate or lack thereof. And then Jupiter, of course, expands and wants to have a good time and wants that abundance that we all just deserve, right? And it's going retrograde in Gemini, which just puts everything into question. What about those beliefs? What about those things that you stand for? What about the opinions? That's very Gemini, that you have or may have had or were kind of dancing around with, and now Jupiter going retrograde, it just makes you review. It makes you want to reevaluate. It makes you, or it might prompt you to reconsider all the re's, right? Reconsider, even ugh, Google does this and Facebook too, that they bring up the memories for you to remember what you were doing at this time last year or whatnot, right? And then Pluto, who, as you know, is not necessarily the main character, but we did experience a shift, right, from with Pluto from Capricorn into Aquarius, and this is going to be generationally speaking. We're going to have Pluto in Aquarius for a very long time, for for the rest of our existence or life, I guess. But it's been retrograded in Capricorn, so it's still making us reevaluate and not protesting, but bringing up to the surface because of that reevaluation that goes into play a lot of the deepest of our fears or insecurities or memories or trauma. And the question really becomes, how are we handling or are we not? I saw a meme earlier from Becca. So, Becca, if you're watching, I love that you posted this meme, which said that you cannot regulate an emotion that you haven't felt, an emotion that you haven't shown up for. You can't regulate something that you haven't acknowledged. So it's like, acknowledgement is the first rule. Looking at the problem or admitting that something is there to be worked on or to do. Um, That's interesting, but it's all part of the journey. So this week, a lot of that might come up, and Gemini with Jupiter, I feel like can make a very interesting dialogue turn into a blown out of proportion conversation. So watch out for that. And as always, I'll be checking in the DMs to see how we are communicating and how we are expressing those things that Mercury wants to really translate from thought to mouth and into conversations. And Gemini wants to have a good time and to include everybody. And Jupiter wants to just bring it into life and not definitely not just shove it under the carpet. So this week might be interesting. You let me know. We did have that eclipse last week in Libra. So let's discuss that real quick because in the book, you're invited to journal and to paint every full moon and new moon. Everything is in the book for you to follow along. And the thing about Libra, which last year we also had an eclipse in Libra, is that it's all about the community, the relationship, the balance of it all, the scale, fairness, the topic of fairness, the topic of the ebb and the flow, the topic of family. And then the north node of the moon, which is a whole nother conversation, but I'll brush on it real quick. The north node is currently in Aries, making the south node be in Libra. So there's a thought of whatever the moon in Libra brings up and whatever the eclipse is bringing up as it pertains to your relationships and your beliefs and that moral compass that Libra is versus what you're being called to do or what you want to do or what you just want for yourself versus the collective, which is that Aries. And so the interesting thing about the this new moon in Libra that we had last weekend is that because it is an eclipse season and because it is the south node, it's not just this is all that the moon is bringing up, but this may be that what the moon is bringing up for you to really be done with. Think leaving it behind in the south node and me walking towards that north node, the north star, if you will, right? That compass that directs you to your north star, that goal oriented archer that Sagittarius is, and the moon is in Sagittarius today. So this is why I bring it up, right? um where is it that you're trying to do? So coming from hustle culture, coming from corporate America, coming from the entertainment industry, one of the epiphanies that I had in the previous eclipse season was that I needed to purposefully and unabashedly slow down. And I feel like collectively, we have ingrained in us with this hustle culture and with this mentality of just achieving more and more and more. We have in us, within us, the drive and I don't know, the the belief, I guess, right? The core belief that we have to do. And one of the things that my coach, Sally, has helped me see is that, well, what about being? What about just being? And it's not enough to meditate. It wasn't enough to just sit down, meditate, or to sit down and journal. It wasn't enough to just sit down and write or even read a book. I felt like I needed to slow down more. Just permission to slow down. Give myself the permission to do that and coach myself through acknowledging that I'm taking things slow or I'm taking this day slow and how that how or what does that look like for me. And so that was or has been and still is a coaching conversation for me with my coach because I mean, the same pace that we're having that I'm talking or and saying all of this right now is the pace that pretty much all of my day goes through, like with my son, with meals, with homeschooling, and with just, watching out for the mailman and having to run errands, so on and so forth. It's it is still a go, 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 right? So blessed to be able to have that life. And so to slow down and to remember to breathe and to force myself to stretch in the morning and force myself to, sit to enjoy a song and really not get up before the song ends. There's a challenge for you. Because there's always something, you sit down to relax and to meditate, and you think about the first thing you should be doing, or the first thing you could be doing, or you remember to add that one thing to the notes, right? But, ooh, if it's a challenge, if it's something that I've committed to, if it's just something that I really, really want to do, then what is my relationship to slowing down and how am I really building these relationships? See, Libra is not just about relationships with people. So let's talk about that for a second. Libra and all when it comes to relationships in general, psychology is not just about people. It's about your relationship to things, your relationship to your surroundings, your relationship with or to your work or your job or your place of work, right? Maybe you enjoy your work, but your environment is not necessarily the best because I don't know, the lights are blue or it smells funky, right? There's just so much that goes into manifesting or building the life or the mindset because it's all about the mindset in the end. So, yeah, the questions for the Libra new moon last Friday. How were you with that? I mean, Peter is watching the replay. I'm 100% sure of that. So, Peter, how was your weekend and how are you doing? How was your mentoring class? And how was that eclipse for you? Because we need to catch up. So, the first question was, how might you explore the concept of compromise in your personal relationships? Compromise in a way that doesn't undermine your principles and values. So, like, what are your principles? What do you stand for? What do you believe? And how do you carry that belief into your day to day to day? And it's not necessarily that you have to believe in something. You can just believe that you deserve to slow down. So this is what you're going to do now, right? Um, how can you explore the concept of compromise in your relationships? Personal relationships. So I'm guessing, not guessing, I wrote it. So it's obviously about your relationships with people. And if you live with people, then, it applies. And then the one question that I hear complaints about the most, one of the topics that we talk about the most in coaching, it is balance. What does balance mean to you? And how do you feel it might influence your life? Not balance, but the meaning, what it means. How does the meaning that you put into the concept of balance, how does it influence your life, particularly in your personal um, relationships? See, here's the thing. I feel like balance can be a little elusive, or it can be just a mindset thing, or we just it's a what do we call it? A pop word, like we just throw it out there, but we don't necessarily mean it. Um, Because if we put things into real perspective, if you get the scale out and you start putting pebbles, and this pebble is homeschooling, and this pebble is, I don't know, something I like to do for myself, doing my nails, and this pebble is housekeeping, and this pebble is writing my book, and this pebble is mealtime, and this pebble is doing this live once a week. And if I start putting pebbles on the home front side of the scale and on my side of the scale, I might really realize on the physical end of it that the home front side of the scale might be a lot heavier than the just me side of the scale, because the amount of responsibility, and I'm not saying I do it well, and I'm not saying I do it all, but the amount of responsibility that is carried on the home front side of the scale is a lot heavier than the amount of responsibility that is carried on just my side, because I don't necessarily have to write a book. I don't necessarily have to take time to do my nails. Do I want to do those things? Yes. Now, do I have to be responsible and take care of other people other than myself? 100%. Do I have to, do certain things on the daily to get the home front flowing the way that it does? Not by myself, obviously. It's a two-man ship here, right? But you know what I mean. It's not just that I want to do those things or that I get to do those things, but I have to do them. It's part of the package that comes from having a family, having a life, and just living you know, this day to day, and getting to build from that slow progress. So the word balance can be a little tricky like that. Is it really a balanced life if you look at it from the actual physical perspective of everything that goes on this side of the scale versus whatever goes on this side of the scale? Or is it more of a mindset? Is it more of a, well, as long as there's that compromise that the first question brought up, right? As long as I get to write the book by this date, then everything will work out, everything will get done, and I will figure out a way. It's almost like time is an illusion, and so is balance, because at the end of the day, what you're putting your attention on is what matters in the moment, and whatever is on the other side of the scale is on the other side of the scale because you're on this side right now. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because I don't even know if I made sense to myself. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that the question is implying that we really have to look at balance and figure it out and then answer the question, but there's no such thing. And we do our best. And I haven't even painted any of the journaling. And let's not even bring up the fact that I'm so out of practice. I'm kidding. Let's get to the affirmation, shall we? And then we're going to dive into our mindfulness meditation for the evening. So exciting. Okay. I embrace the power of balance. Ooh, look at that. I embrace the power of balance, understanding that harmony in my relationships comes from negotiating with a firm sense of self. Ooh, a firm sense of what we want and what we stand for and what we believe in. Respect for others and the preservation of my core values. If you want to preserve your core values, right? Because we have talked about in detail, and we have read books in book club, and we have learned about how some of the core values that we bring into the table are just outdated, obsolete, void, and null. And this Jupiter retrograde in Gemini and Pluto in Capricorn for the very last time before he goes back into Aquarius forever is going to make us reevaluate those core values, core beliefs, and just what we stand for in general. So watch out for that disconnect this week. In the delicate dance of life's relationships, I seek to balance my personal principles and needs, promoting harmony without compromising my authenticity. And I feel like that's one of those affirmations that is more of a personal commitment. And we have those moments in astrology where there's an opportunity to recommit to something, an opportunity to not just reevaluate like the retrograde invites us to do, but really just re-decide and stand on those decisions. And I'm not saying that this week the astrology is inviting us to recommit to something. I always bring it up when it does, but I feel like there's a level of recommitment happening just from my own point of view because it's the very first time in 8 weeks that we get together. Thank you, Marianne, for being here. And Peter, thank you for watching. Thank you, Cecilia, Cece. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, M. Thank you, Nani. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Taryn. I love you all so much. Thank you so much, Angela. And if you are watching from TikTok, I'm so grateful that you joined. Let me know what you think about whatever, all the things I said, but let's get to that short and sweet mindfulness meditation. I just like to discuss the affirmation for the week and the affirmation for the new moon in Libra, along with a short breath work guided meditation. So let's do it. Music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM. You can find the link in the description below or in the bio for a free trial and a code for your membership. So just not get together, get comfortable, laid back. If you're driving, do not close your eyes, but if you are able and willing to participate, close your eyes and just relax. And no, you don't have to close your eyes. And just settle into your body, settle into slowing down your breath, nice and slow. And follow my lead as I guide you through this breath work. We're going to take a deep, slow breath through our nose. Nice and deep. Fill your lungs all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. Nice and slow. We're not in a hurry. All the way. Exhale till you have no air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And inhale once more through your nose. Deep inhale. Fill your lungs all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow. And as you exhale through your mouth, gently settle into that breath and focus on the tiniest, thinnest sliver of moon up above, a waxing crescent in a dark sky. And in this moment of stillness, focus all hope and all of your energy in the things that you're trying and hoping and dreaming to manifest and to progress towards. I embrace the adventure of growth and discovery, aligning my inner aspirations with my actions to create meaningful progress. Nice and slow, deep breath in through your nose. Nice, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. Nice, long exhale. And as you settle into this exhale, think about all that life is bringing up for you. And remember, I am safe. I am loved. I am protected. I am guided. I am so grateful. With me, take one more breath through your nose. Deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow through your mouth. All the way till you have no air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And inhale one last time through your nose. Deep inhale all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow. And as you exhale through your mouth and settle into that exhale, bring your attention back to your body. Wiggle your toes, open your eyes, and come back to me. And thank you. Hello, hello, Margarita. Buenas noches. I love you so much. Thank you for the welcome back. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this madness. What's been going on for you in the last 2 months? I would love to catch up. Don't make me go into the DMs to start asking questions because I've been watching and I totally can. But yeah, I'm so excited that we did this. We finally reconnected. So thank you again. I will see you all next Monday. Bye.